Everyone for being here. Just a bit of a background history. This actually all happened by mistake. For some reason, we got asked to present at a little event in Durban, and someone said, "Hey, there's no talks on culture in Durban. How can we improve this culture and improve in our organizations?" And long story short, we take a very agile approach when we do things. So we threw an invite, and we thought, okay, maybe 10 people come to this workshop. Let's run it. And they seemed like 60 people came. Thought, okay, that's great. So we thought, okay, let's do the same with Cape Town. It feels like we got a bit of a packed house, so we're quite excited about this. But why we're here and why we're excited about this is that we go and we get asked to be and attend and speak at a lot of events, and then primarily around HR and performance. And we see the future of work going, it's purely around culture. And I love what John had to say, what Anton had to say, and what I've seen more and more echoed is that the more we can drive culture, the more we can help organizations grow. So I'm not an expert in this field. I've had the opportunity to work along many experts and gather a lot of information. So I'm actually just going to present some insights from a lot of data we've done, a lot of research we've done, just around employee happiness and company happiness. So I'm going to share some results we did. We ran this research with Linda from Uber, with Gabriel at Unicorn Zebra. It's a very great name if you're looking for culture change. And then Bailey, who heads up OD at Takealot, and thanks to Shanae for putting most of this together. But we had the opportunity to do this research with quite a few companies, and what we came across, and I know this is not going to surprise most of you, but this keeps coming up that millennials just aren't being heard, okay? And the challenge that a lot of the companies face is that how do we listen and engage with them? These are the same millennials that are checking their phone 150 times. They don't have time to fill in forms, sit in meetings, and do admin. And this is a constant battle that keeps coming up. And then what was quite surprising is that the companies that said they had the best culture, right? So if you look at this stat here, that's the purple and the blue. They were primarily in the smaller company range. And the biggest insight that we get out of this is that these large companies have struggled to adapt and evolve and grow their culture. They all start off great. Everyone talks about the good old days with small companies and this amazing culture. But they can't grow that. And you've got some amazing companies that have been able to. You've got the Spotifys and the Googles. One of my favorite companies is a company called Hi5. They've recently, I think they turned over $40 billion worth of sales. They got departments all over the world. And what they've been able to do is they've been able to separate themselves from the hierarchy. So what Anton was talking about, the organogram, right? So they've got self-organized units. They literally are small startups or small departments where they've got their own autonomy and they've got their own P&Ls and they've got direct access to the customer. And amazing case study, go read about them, but they continuously evolve, they continuously innovate. And the two biggest things there is that there's no hierarchy, there's no massive middle management. They've got direct access to the customer and they can continuously innovate and change. And then, this is obviously quite common, but employees are still giving frequent recognition compared to managers. So the challenge, what we find, especially within Hi5, is that it's all bells and whistles at the beginning, and everyone gets excited about running this recognition platform. And the challenge that we find is that, and we've got a few customers here that can probably echo this, is that our biggest success for us, right, is that there's continuous engagement. So we strive between 70 to 80% month-on-month engagement. The moment that goes down, the number one reason is that managers and leadership aren't getting engaged. They aren't recognizing employees. And this is a continuous challenge, not with the Hi5, but we see this across many other companies, is that the managers and leaders are moaning that there's not enough recognition, or they're hearing that the employees are moaning there's not enough recognition. And then they keep committing to doing it, but they don't get around to it. And the number one reason is time and effort. And literally, it takes 30 minutes, maybe a month to do this. And they don't realize the impact they can have throughout the whole organization. And what was a very surprising stat for us is that the companies that said they had the best culture also had the more frequent recognition. So there's two ways you can tie that. You can say, well, is more frequent recognition, is the output of that great culture, or does great culture equal to frequent recognition? What we say is, you know what, if you've got a bad or average culture, why not just test out more frequent recognition and see if anything changes out of that? Some specific insight to some industries. Hopefully this isn't surprising much of you right now, but remuneration is still at the bottom of what employees want. Well, not at the bottom, but at the mid-range of what people want in terms of happiness at work. The number one is still professional growth. So, the point we're trying to make there is that, that employees just aren't after the money all the time. They want a place where they can work, where they can grow, and we can speak more about that just now as well. Obviously, living our company values is a big one. This is quite a common thing where employees think they're living it out, and so do managers. But the trick here is that organizations think that they can just put their values on the bathroom walls or in the foyer, and hopefully they're going to be lived out. Unfortunately, that's not the case. What Jonah was saying earlier is that it's got to come from top down. It's got to be lived out throughout the organization. And this is a tricky one to continuously measure and live out. And then obviously just making sure that people are achieving their goals. The biggest thing here is that you've still got more than half of employees feel like they're living at the goals. But the problem here is that you've still got 30% that aren't, right? And it's proven that the more engaged your workforce is, the more the increase in your revenue and your operating income as well. So just to double down on this 30% at the bottom here, you can increase your operating income, you can and increase your productivity as well. And then obviously just the opportunity to keep growing. The biggest challenge we see here is that still, once again, you still got the bottom half that you can focus on. This comes down to just feedback, okay? So people are saying, I don't have the opportunity to grow, but then you still got people saying they're not getting enough feedback on an ongoing basis. That is the quickest way to help employees grow and to help the company grow. And that's literally our mission. If you can help employees grow, and you can help the company grow. And I can't stress this enough. I think a lot of companies, they hope that the once or twice a year ongoing performance reviews is going to help employees grow, and it's maybe that's seen as feedback. That is not enough. For this up-and-coming workforce, they want that instant gratification, the instant feedback, so they can feel like they're on some kind of career path, and they can feel like they can grow. And also we're living this generation where it's the instant dopamine, the instant feedback, the instant, everyone wants to post a quick thing on social media, and if they don't get 50 likes, they're going to ditch it. If they don't get that instant feedback on their work, probably it's seen as not good feedback at all, and they want to move on. I'm going to skip over this. But once again, I know we run a recognition platform, but I can't stress enough just about receiving recognition. The general stats we see is that you're probably getting about 1 or 2 high fives per employee per month, okay? So that's fairly low. Sometimes good companies have about 3 to high fives a month. The tricky thing is that there's a massive opportunity in terms of productivity. And we often run these in terms of recognition workshops within companies as well. And what we often find is that people come out of those workshops half crying, just have never heard how appreciated they've been from their managers, from their leaders, and from employees that work alongside them. And how better are you going to feel going to work or leaving work that day knowing that you've just been appreciated for the work you've done? Once again, that 13 check or the money at the end of the year is just not enough. This will just supersede this radically. And then, there's the receiving recognition that we all think is important for the colleagues out there. But the giving is actually, what we've seen is actually more important. So leaders think that, I must just give recognition to someone, and that's going to help that person grow and get excited. And yes, that is the case. But the more that the more that you actually give recognition, it reduces stress, helps you sleep better, reduces anxiety. And I can't stress enough, especially for leaders and managers, to actually kick off your week or kick off your day with just appreciating and thanking just maybe one person or ending off your day. And just measure how you feel and reflect every day to see, am I having a better day? How was I today compared to yesterday? And then just obviously the culture at your workplace. So a lot of this data is tied into the culture. Once again, if you've got a very mediocre culture, that's going to drive your productivity and your engagement, okay? And what this comes down to is that, I just want to get to this slide here, is that there's two ways you can go about this. You can have highly engaged companies. So these highly engaged companies are normally these small, family-owned companies, generally startups. They're constantly engaged. They constantly know when it's each other's birthdays, weddings, someone's having a baby, someone just died. They're constantly eating food together. The problem with these guys is they struggle to hit targets, not that productive, and they think that they're doing well because they're getting together and having lunches all the time. But then you've got this other side where you've got highly performance-driven companies. So these are like in your financial sector and in your sales-driven organizations where you've got targets and you've got high output. But the problem with these guys is that it's a very high, it's a quick increase in turnover. But like Jono said, you've got that ELTV where employees start within 1 to 2 years, they're out of there because this performance culture is just killing them very quickly. What you want to do as a company is to try and get the best of both. And there's just 3 simple ways you can do that. Make sure that employees have clear expectations, make sure there's goals and key objectives, and have the ongoing feedback. So I just want to leave us with this, right? How many of you enjoy meetings? How many of you enjoy emails? How many of you enjoy filling in forms? Okay, so with the challenges that you and we don't shop and socialize and live that way. So the tools we're managing and growing for people is almost like built for a world that no longer exists. So this is what we've got the average company looking like. Org charts, like Anton was talking about. You've got hippos. Hippos is a term for the highest earning person has the largest say. You've got annual reviews. You've got hoarding information, reliance on the past, and inputs and outcomes. Okay. But the challenge is that most employees have all the information power today. With mobile phones and technology, they're making rapid decisions on the go. They're choosing where they want to work, where they want to study, where they want to live. And even just think about how we communicate, even with our kids, right? We've got this battle right now where we've got this existing workforce that are all working off email and phones, but we've got this generation that are used to living in the cloud. They're used to instant messaging. And there's this conflict in this battle where how these 2 different generations want to work. But unfortunately, business haven't almost changed the way to change the way that people want to work, right? So you've got companies spending all this time getting people into the companies, only give them forms, admin, and meetings. And employees are saying, I'm spending all my time just sitting in admin and meetings. And then managers are saying, I'm putting out fires all day. Why can't employees just get on with work? So, and then to deal with the problem, HR just keeps throwing money at it. Let's go on culture. Let's go on change management workshops. Let's go on this leadership training session. Let's do this Barrett survey. To a point where it's costing the organization up to 28% of their annual revenue. Okay. So our biggest focus is we get this amazing talent, these needles in a haystack. Why not, like John was saying, why not retain these people? Make the most of them and grow them. And maybe only stick around for 2 or 3 years, but let's at least extend that year by another year, and let's actually have them leave the organization talking about how amazing it was. So now what? There's 2 biggest things, right? I can't stress this enough. Employees want ongoing feedback and they want recognition. If you haven't read this book, there's another one for your library after you've read Anton's. But Kim Scott wrote the book. She was head of people at Google at one stage. Radical Candor, I can't stress this enough. But those are the 2 biggest things that this up-and-coming workforce want. It's quick, ongoing criticism and feedback, and ongoing praise. So instead of org charts, hippos, and annual reviews, for information, let's focus on output. So we believe is ongoing recognition, ongoing feedback equals happy people and great revenue. So that's it. That's exactly why we're focused on real-time feedback with Hi5. So if you can use WhatsApp, you can use Hi5. So that's a little bit of a punt from us. I hope this workshop was great. And That's it, eh? Yeah. Yeah.